Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show, another exciting guest. Today, we're going to talk about a particular topic that I talked about a while back, and it's called parent alienation. A lot of people don't know what that truly means, unless you're going through a custody battle. That's when that word shows its ugly face. Going from divorce and then your children. And you know the tripped out part about it is that's such a dirty word because it impacts one or the other parent and sometimes both. And it puts the child in harm's way by making the child become weaponized. Let me use this word again, weaponized. To have to choose sides. That's fucked up. Today on the show, you probably follow her on social media on TikTok where she shared a lot of the things that she was dealing with this word, alienation. Without further ado, let's welcome all the way from Texas, Miss Christie Anglin.
Anglin.
Did I get it right? Anglin.
Yeah.
Anglin,
Yes.
Christie Anglin to the show. How we doing, baby girl?
I'm doing okay. I'm glad to be here.
Such an impactful topic. And more importantly, my hat's off to you for bringing it to social media. And you're getting you're being met with all kind of different formats here. Some people that don't understand, some people saying this, and some people have actually lived through it. Me personally, I know the word because I introduced it to the court systems in 2005. Parent alienation. Before we get to that word, tell the viewers a little bit about who you are first and how we got to this ugly word into your life.
So I'm Christie Anglin. I am currently in Austin, Texas. My son is the light of my life. He's 17 now. I've been divorced for 8 years. We were married 10 years, and my husband was very upset when I left him, and he decided to use my child as a weapon, like you said, weaponized. That is very, very accurate, to upset me, to hurt me. So he has brainwashed my child, programmed him, coached, however you want to say it, and my child has cut me off. You used some keywords a little while ago. When you change a child's thinking, when a child has to be worried about one of the parents being angry at them for spending time with the other parent, it's not fair. And my child is a lot like me, but they just, they've changed him.
Let's go back a little bit. And I know this is going to get emotional because I went through that. Trust me, I went through that. I cried. I've seen the coaching. I've seen my daughter mind switch at the age of 2 from going from me to her mom because she didn't want to go to her mom's. I've seen it. And it's funny because people like us walk in silence and a lot of people don't know what we're really going through. I literally had to take a guardian ad litem with me to see the behavior patterns that my daughter was articulating at a young age of 2 to 3. That's fucked up. But let's go back a little bit. Let's take me into the household of the marriage before all this happened, because usually we can see signs that this is going to take place because it usually starts with a word that I call narcissistic personality disorder. Take us into the marriage of your life. Well, how was that like? Perfect marriage, Texas?
Oh, no.
The whole 9 yards.
Horrible marriage. He's a narcissist. And just like all narcissists, in perfect narcissist form, he convinced me he was a different kind of person. And I married him. I was pregnant 2 weeks later. I was almost 39 when I had my child. So I wasn't a youngster. I wasn't inexperienced with life, but I stayed with him. He had a head injury in high school, and I felt sorry for him. I wanted my son to have his father, all of those things that you do. Usually we're an empath or somebody that the narcissist has chosen to be their victim, right? But there were a lot of little things that were happening in the marriage. I'd come home from work and I'd see a note from the teacher and I'd start to ask my son, and my ex would put his hand up and stop me, be in control of it completely. It's already handled. I wouldn't get to say anything to my son. Of course, after my son would go to sleep, I'd discuss it with him, but there was a lot of that. There's a lot of the other person bonding with the child and going against you, the other parent. And that's one of the big things that's done. They start getting the child to side with them at a very young age. They use a lot of tactics like sympathy, acting like the victim, the other parent is bad, just all kinds of things.
Was this your only child? Chris,
yes.
I mean to cut you off. Was this your only child?
Yes.
So this is your only child by this
is my
man
only
of
child.
30 some years old. Before you got married, did this person show you any red flags or anything of that nature? When did the flags hit the surface then?
Well, hindsight's always 2020, right? But
Right.
at the time, I just thought that he was a nice guy. I was in and out of this little town. My parents had moved there. I told him, I don't want to stay here. Don't pursue me. I've got plans. My career is important at this point in my life. I won't be able to do that here. I don't have any friends here. All those things, that a grown-up person, an experienced person would know. And he just convinced me that he was just a nice guy. I just thought he was a good, nice guy. And my parents had moved there, so I thought, well, that'd be kind of cool. But I immediately knew after we got married. I was pregnant 2 weeks later, and I knew immediately. It's like they just turned.
Hold down a minute. You said you knew immediately 2 weeks. What was
I was pregnant 2 weeks into the marriage.
And you start seeing signs. What were the signs? Because your child wasn't born yet.
Right. Oh, yeah. They were signs of a narcissist, but I didn't realize what a narcissist was. I just thought, what is going on with this guy? And mine's complicated. It's crazy, but to keep it simple, I thought he was off a little bit because he had a brain injury. He was in a horrible accident in high school. So I would feel sorry for him. He had this kind of boyish quality about him. Well, when you realize all these qualities of a narcissist, they're good at faking. They are good at portraying a certain image. And so that's what he was doing. There were plenty of times I wanted to leave, but he would threaten me. He just is a bad guy.
When you say threaten you how? Verbally, physically?
If you leave me, I will make you pay till the day you die.
Wow.
My dad knows all the judges. You're stupid.
So he had control of the town.
He made it appear that way. I did not believe him. Those two things, I did not believe him, and they both turned out to be very true. I used to tell people, man, he thinks he's going to make me pay. I wasn't worried. What I was worried about was that he would spin out of control, try to hurt me and hurt my son, something like that. But I'm going to tell you, the court system was not fair to me at all. And he did know what he meant when he said he would make me pay.
What do you mean the court system wasn't fair to you?
I did not have a good situation going on with me in the courts there. He ended up paying me $200 in child support. It was pathetic. It was drawn out. There was a lot of abuse from my ex and my ex-father-in-law. They just made me miserable. And so just the whole divorce was ridiculous. I mean, there were things that were happening in the courtroom that the judge should have put a stop to. It was crazy. And
Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
And let me first say thank you for coming on and really opening up and sharing this story, because I know as we get deeper, it's going to get even more emotional. So let me say thank you up front on coming on the show. But let's go back a little bit. What was happening during the pregnancy? You got 9 months. What's happening during this? Because you don't know what a narcissist is, but this person is demonstrating behaviors that you are under the assumption that is from a high school football injury, and you're feeling sympathetic. But now you got 9 months of pregnancy to deal with. You sense something ain't right. I'm bringing the viewers up to a recap here. You're thinking about leaving because he's demonstrating behavior patterns that don't make sense. You're 2 weeks into the pregnancy, but you got 9 months of this. So what's it like going through the 9 months? Does he change or does it get worse?
So I assume you know a lot about narcissists, right? You know what they do. So he immediately put me in finance. I immediately started having financial problems because of all his promises. And, basically what happened was this. He made a lot of promises. He acted like a specific kind of person, and he just wasn't that person. And I was embarrassed, to be honest with you. I was ashamed because I felt like I had done the dumbest thing, by marrying someone at that age like that. I'd never been around somebody like that. So I forgave a lot of things. Of course, that was my bad. But he just drank and disappeared for a couple of days, and he didn't make any money. And eventually I was supporting us. It just was a bad situation all around. But his injury was from a car accident. It wasn't from a sports injury. He was in a coma for 10 days and he actually died, came back to life. So he's got some serious brain injuries, I
How
believe.
did you find that out?
Well, I know that was a big deal. I mean, he was the starting pitcher at the high school that he went to in San Antonio, and that ended his baseball career.
So did he share that with you? Because you're dealing with
the parents.
The parents shared it with you.
Yes.
Did the parents have any mental illnesses that you're aware of? Because you said when you went to court, your in-law, which was your father-in-law, was just as abusive to you as your husband. So was there some type of mental illness there too with both of them? And more importantly, how can you believe the parents if the father-in-law is also basically demonstrating the same behavior patterns as the son?
So, okay, you asked. Here it goes. He was adopted. His parents eventually divorced. And, it was years later when I realized my ex-father-in-law had done the same thing to my ex-mother-in-law. He had turned his kids against her. When I met my ex in my 30s, he and his younger brother were just getting back into his mom's life. So the ex-father-in-law had done this exact same thing to my ex-mother-in-law. But when I met them, they were divorced and both remarried. Now, I did meet the biological mother, and I do know that the biological father has mental disease.
After 9 months, your kid is born. You stay with him. And I think I can add, let me bring the viewers to this right off the bat. This is a judge-free show. So what that means is, in order to understand, before you start saying stupid stuff like, I would have left a long time ago, I would have did this, it shoulda, coulda, woulda. If you're unaware of the word narcissist, you don't know what you're dealing with. And you see what I'm saying? So I'm letting the viewers know that offhand before they start saying to you in their mind, well, I would have left. Well, you don't know what you would have did because you didn't know what you was dealing with. So you stay in the relationship for 9 months, hoping that maybe he might change. 9 months, your child is born. What happens after the child is born?
I will tell you something important, though. When I was pregnant, he went on a tear one night. He destroyed everything in our apartment. I did call the police. They pulled him over. He got a DWI. His mother showed up the next day. I was packed, and she begged me to stay. She said she would put him through rehab, made me all these promises. I think about that all the time because it just makes me sick. His parents were well off. His father was an executive at a very big company in Texas. And I just thought these were good people. When his mom asked me to stay and said she would put him through rehab, it was a couple of months before I had my baby. She did not do that. Another empty promise. So I had my child, and I was 39, and all I cared about was my son. I just wanted my son. I wanted lots of kids, but I was in my late 30s now, so I just took care of my son. I did what it took to raise my son. look, a lot of it was embarrassment. I was embarrassed that I had made this decision, and I didn't have a family that I could turn to for help. He wiped me out.
Didn't you say your mom moved to the town?
My mom had moved to that town. That's why I was first there. I was in and out of that town just visiting my mom and dad. That's how I met this guy. I met
Okay.
him, and then a year later ran into him again, and that's when he saw me and said, "Oh, I'm never going to let you go." Now, see, that's a red flag. I'm never going to let you go now that I see you, and I've told people it's kind of like a romantic comedy, right? If you look at romantic comedy, all that stuff's real cute and romantic, but a lot of it is very red flag. I mean,
Mhm.
think about it. So he locked me in. I got married to him. I got pregnant. I was embarrassed. I did not have a support system, and I just felt sorry for him. And I did eventually leave him, but it
What
was
was the
bad
straw that
news.
made you? What did you talk to your parents about what you was dealing with? You have brothers and sisters?
I have two brothers and a mom, and at the time, my stepdad. Um, I told you this is deep. I'm recently in the middle of a move. I've had to leave that town. I was living next to my mom in her duplex, and she turned on me recently. She is a narcissist. This is so crazy, I know. But she basically wanted double the rent. There was no support from her through all of this. For 2.5 years, I was in.
What about your brothers?
They believe my mom. My mom's been lying about me. I know this sounds like a lot, but um, they say that if you end up with a narcissist, there was a narcissist early in your life. Well, I found mine. Um, I did not notice these things. It's amazing what we let our parents get away with. We don't know any different, right? So
Mhm.
this was a crazy dynamic going through all of this with my son and realizing what was being done to him, and also realizing how, I'm 56 years old. So I was 54 when I moved there. All my life I hadn't noticed it. It was other people saying to me, "Your mom's awful." See, I left home at 19. So I hadn't been back around my mom. So
Hmm.
once I was back around my mom, it kind of surfaced.
So what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made you walk away finally for good?
Well, I did not want to leave my son. I will start crying about that. He's got one more year left in high school. And when it's very complicated, but he wanted to live with me back in January 23. They did not want that to happen. My ex and my ex father in law, they did not want that to happen. And that's when they aggressively did what they do to persuade my son. He was resisting. There were times he was so mentally anguished over it. I would see his eyes would roll back in his head. He was struggling. And they eventually pulled a lot of other tricks. But recently, my mom wanted to double my rent. I went without working for a couple of months because I was distraught over this. My mom owes me a lot of money. I thought that it would all work out. It didn't. She got angry at me, and she recently forced me to leave. So I'm in the middle of leaving. But I feel relieved in a lot of ways because I had no idea about any of this. I didn't know what narcissists were. I did not know what parental alienation was, but I do now. And my ex is a bad guy. These are not good people. Look, when you turn your child against their own parent because you hate that other parent, the damage that's done to these children is it's bad. It's
But it
bad.
takes a while. It takes a while for a child,
Mm-hmm.
not a long period of time. I know firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
But how old was your son when he started to be coached? Because it starts with coaching before it starts with the alienation. So they had to start feeding your son information before the alienation even started. So
Right.
what were some of the things that they was telling your son that made your son start to see their picture versus your picture? Because it would be, to me, it would be hard for you to deal with it because once again, I'm assuming you still don't know that you're dealing with a narcissist. You're
Right.
dealing with the situation as it's coming to you, but clearly they've been. I'm not gonna say if they've been diagnosed because I don't know. Only you would know that. But they're demonstrating behaviors of a narcissist. So now they're coaching your son. What were the things that they was telling your son that made you think that something wasn't right?
So I've been divorced almost 8 years. So we were married 10 years. When I filed for divorce, the very first thing that started happening was I worked and my son was with my ex and my ex-father-in-law all day, all day. I mean, I even had to go to the judge and say, look, I'm custodial. I should have more time with him, but I don't. They're with him all day long. They're influencing him. They're talking bad about me. But the very first thing was the child support. My son would come back to me so angry at me because he said that his dad would not be able to afford groceries. So adults should not be talking about that to their child. You know, you don't talk about that kind of stuff. So that was the very first thing that he really became angry at me about.
Did you go to the father, the husband, and say, hey, why are you discussing our court cases with our son?
Multiple
How old was your
times.
son at the time?
10.
10.
Mm-hmm.
And what did he say?
I did a lot, and he did not reply to me. There was another thing he would do as he would be walking towards me with my son in tow. My son's a big boy now. He's 6'2", you know, big kid, but he was little. You know, I just remember him holding his dad's hand, walking towards me. And I remember him looking at his daddy as they were walking up to me because his dad would have this smirk, this snarl on his face. And I saw it happening, and I would text my ex and say, can you please get that damn smirk off your face? It's scaring my son. There were all kinds of things. But I did take my son to counseling at one point, and I said, I don't know what's going on, but my son seems to favor my ex. He seems to defend him and take up for him. So she put him all through counseling, and she said to me, look, here's what's going on. He knows you're strong and you're capable. Did you know that when he's with his dad, he's cooking his own meals, doing his own laundry? I said, no. So she explained it to me as I'm capable. My son has faith in me, feels sorry for the dad. Okay. I liked that. I thought, okay, well, that's going to bite him in the ass later on. Well, I now realize what was going on is my ex was pulling the whole victim thing. So my son started feeling sorry for him at a very young age. And that's what they do. They get under the skin of these children. They become the victim. So my son, who wasn't choosing either parent, he loves both his parents. All kids love both their parents. They don't want to hear anything about either parent. They don't. So he knew that if he came to me and wanted to spend a little extra time with my ex or whatever, I wasn't going to have a problem with it. If he wanted to go throw the ball, I'm big about baseball and my son, baseball. If I knew that I was going to be working that night and he wanted to go to the park and throw the ball with my ex, I'd say, okay. So, but that's never reciprocated. So we become the parent that the kid eventually, not choosing, but knows this parent pressures me. I need to spend a little more time with this parent, and this parent's not going to get angry at me. And that is how it starts. That is how it starts. They become the special parent. Before I knew about parental alienation and I was journaling all of this, I said, it's like he's the special parent. You know, he requires all this extra attention. And it starts out as sympathy for the parent, and then it's kind of, oh, daddy doesn't like me talking about mom. His feelings get hurt. And then it's, oh, he gets grumpy, and then mad. So, you know, they start at a certain place, and the child starts feeling this kind of allegiance to this one parent, and it just gets harder and harder for them with that parent, and eventually, to make their lives easier, the child ends up being
How do you said some ugly things happen in the courtroom. So evidently you didn't have nobody validating for you, watching how you were with your kid. Who kept taking you back and forth to court? Because you kept saying that the court system wasn't favorable to you. Who winded up with custody? How did that wind up happening? Because eventually, and was the court aware of the allegation of parent alienation and coaching?
That was never talked about. Now you got to remember, when I left my ex, I did not know what a narcissist was. I did not know parental alienation. I made a huge mistake that I wish I could take back, but I did the best I could. I got custodial. He paid me $200 a month in child support. I had custodial. So on paper, I had my son more. I worked all day. My ex did nothing. He grew up a very entitled kid, and I did not. So I knew how to work. I have a good work ethic. I just worked every day. You just do what you have to do, right? So I was working. He was with my son. my ex and my ex-father-in-law with my son all day long. I did ask the court, look, I want my kid going to an after-school program. They're picking him up. They have him from 3 till I get home every day of the week. And so, there were a lot of things that the court did for me, but none of it was enforced. He wasn't even supposed to be in the house that I was in. I'd get home sometimes and he had been there for an hour. He'd pop out and scare the heck out of me and my son, and he'd been hiding the whole time. I'd call the police and they told me, this is a civil matter. You need to talk to the judge. I just accepted it. It's years later now that people have said, what? No, the police should have been helping you. They didn't. They weren't.
The police should have made him leave.
Yeah, he was hurting me. He was physically hurting me.
How do you protect your child? Because now your child is 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The effects of the what his father's done is definitely now come back to bite you in the ass, so to speak. How do you move on, and how do you develop a relationship? Because somebody has to step up and
Mm-hmm.
say enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And evidently it's not going to be the narcissist. That's not
or
their
the judges or the court systems.
judges. So so now the question goes to you: what are you prepared to do to try to repair the damage that the narcissistic person has done upon your son by alienating with words, actions, and the whole 9 yards?
So my son cut me off right before the holidays, right before November. I saw him going through this. It was a very difficult thing to watch, but bless his heart. I mean, he's a good kid.
What do you mean? I'm not trying to cut you off. So the viewers understand. What do you mean my son cut me off?
So in January 23, my son wanted to live with me. They did not want any part of that. So they aggressively did what they do. And a lot of it even is a sense of entitlement, right? Giving him things, buying him things, no rules, no discipline. I mean, I'm old school. I do discipline my son. I wasn't abusive, but you got to have rules, right? There's rules. You got to learn respect. You got to learn the fact that your mom's working hard. $1 means something, right? So there was just a lot of that. But he got frustrated with me. I became a nervous wreck around him because I didn't know how to act. I just saw my child changing. So he cut me off right before the holidays, literally would not reply to my text. I finally said to him, son, are we not talking anymore? And he replied in a text, almost verbatim, yes, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Quit texting me. Don't call me.
Okay, I gotta intervene here. I gotta bring in some legal aspects here.
Mm-hmm.
I find that I'm not saying it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is the court system granted you pretty much physical custody of your child.
Mm-hmm.
He's not 18 years old. I don't know what the rules is in Texas, but if you're the custodial parent, he's living with you. He just can't. Well, let me say he can probably not talk to you, but he still got to come and stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you mean he cut you off, I want to get some clarity on this for the viewers and the listeners. You're saying he's just not communicating with you. He still has his obligations as a quote unquote teenager under your custody, under your care, to come and live in your house during the times he's supposed to be there.
Right.
So he's
Good
doing
question.
these
Good
actions.
question.
He's doing these actions when you're not when he's with his father, but when he's at your house, is he talking to you when he's in your presence, in your home?
Right. Good question. I could give you a simple answer, but I'm going to still make it simple. I gave up custodial. Okay. I did not give up custody. We were custodial and non-custodial. I got $200 a month child support. I could not make enough money in that town. The child support was ridiculous. Everything that we needed to split, I paid for. I needed to find a different job in a different town. I discussed this with my son multiple times. I had to move out of that town. They had put in the divorce. I could not leave Kerr County. I had to give up custodial. Now, what that means is I became non-custodial. We were still 50-50. I still have my visitation. I lived 29 minutes away from him. There should have never been a situation there. What we put in the court order was no child support. So big deal, right? I'm not going to get $200 a month, but he had custodial so that my son could stay there in that town and have his life. When you're co-parenting, It's no big deal when you're co-parenting with someone who is a co-parent and wants what's best for the child. 27 minutes is nothing. I know people that live in bigger cities where it's farther than that, right? So I gave custodial. I took a job. I was only 27 minutes away. He did come see me for quite a while, but that last year, no, COVID happened. It was crazy in there. So that's why when I say in 23, I moved back in 23. My son wanted to live with me, asked me to live with me. His idea. He said, Mom, all I got to do is go talk to the judge. So he wasn't upset at me because a lot of people have said, oh, he felt like you abandoned him. No, I came back. He wanted to live with me. That's what happened. So we still had joint custody. My son just quit coming. In the state of Texas, there's nothing about parental alienation. There's no protection. I did seek advice from 2 attorneys. Both told me I have the worst case of parental alienation they've ever seen or heard of by far.
Mm-hmm.
They said, if you try to get a judge right now to tell your son to come stay with you, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
Because he's been with the father too long.
No, it's because he said they get to a certain age where they're driving and they know what, decision. It's tough when kids get to a certain age. The judges, as long as they're not out causing trouble or anything and they want to live all the time with that one parent, she said, good luck. Good luck.
See, that's kind of funny because that's not how it is in the state of Indiana. Whether you're driving or not, they do take that into, but the child doesn't have pretty much a stake in where they go.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. If I go to court, look, you have
to be physically abused. The child has to be physically abused for the judge to overturn a court order in a situation like that. But like I said, states are different in every state. So now your son refuses to talk to you. How long has this been going on?
So that happened in December. But one other thing, when I moved back, my ex hit me up for child support. He gets it. He gets child support from me.
So how was he able to go back to court when you guys went to court and agreed to a non-disclosure of paying no child support and he gets the thing? So what made the judge decide all of a sudden to retroactive make you pay child support?
We never went to the attorney general. We did this all through the court system. My court order said no child support. He went to the attorney general's office behind my back and filed for child support. He gets it. And it's a lot more than $200.
I've never heard of that. So you can go to the attorney general and they can overturn a custody judgment and make you pay child support?
When I had my hearing online, the first person that came on was the attorney general's office, and she told me how much I was going to have to pay. I almost had a heart attack. I demanded to talk to the judge. They gave me all kinds of rules. Okay, well, you're going to have to pay all the court fees today. And I said, whatever, let me talk to the judge. So the judge comes in. I was told I didn't even need representation, that it was going to be seeing the judge and that they would have to overturn the court order. That was never done as far as I'm concerned. She did say that day, we're doing all of that today. And I was told it has to be a whole different procedure. The judge needs to overturn that court order before the attorney general's office can get child support. See, I'm telling you, this is.
Remind me not to go to Texas and when I return back to life again.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Mm-hmm.
So your husband is that well connected that he went to the attorney general and the attorney general said, fuck what the court said, we're going to make you pay child support. That's what you're telling me.
No, what I'm saying right now is we never went through the attorney general's office, and that's what you do. You go through the attorney general's office for child support, and ours was just in a court order, and I was told it would be that way forever. I didn't know that he could do that. I still need to seek representation over all of this. I'm to a safe place now, and that's what I'm going to have to do. It's tough. It's tough in Texas.
So before we wrap up, how do you forge a relationship now with your son who basically does not want to have anything to do with you? Has he confided in you why he doesn't want to have nothing to do with you?
No, he would never. I've asked him over and over again, son, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? I'm getting a lot of flack on TikTok about this,
Like what kind of flack are you getting?
People are wanting to know why I'm going public with it, that it's going to push my son away from me. And my son's gone. My son's gone. He's gone for a while.
Well,
And
I
I
don't think
know
you're going to
this.
get any flack behind. I think you get flack behind the people that don't understand, and it takes situations like this for somebody like yourself to come out and expose the fact that you dealt with someone that has a narcissistic personality. I don't know. I'm going by what you tell me. Um,
Two sides to every story. Got it.
yeah, two sides to every story. And the bottom part of the matter, this shit is true. This shit happens. I know. I went through this, so I know firsthand. This shit does fucking happen. No matter how crazy it may seem, no matter how mad somebody might say, well, you should have walked away. You should have did a whole lot of shit. But when you don't know what you're dealing with, it's a whole different ball game. Totally different. But at the end of the day, it's always got to be that stronger parent that has to figure out how to do it. And my hat's off to you. Hopefully you can figure out what to do. Stay strong. The cries of help will come. Somebody may come and help you legally fight this situation. All you need to do now is stay strong for your son. And eventually the truth shall come to light as to what really happened, what he had to go through. And who knows, it's all going to pan out in the end. Your story is getting different reviews on social media. What are some of the kind things that people are saying? I don't want to hear what the bad people are saying.
The kind things.
Most people don't want to open up. What are the kind things people?
I have a lot of people behind the scenes that aren't following me because they still have to worry about their abuser. So Thank you for doing this. Thank you for talking about this out loud. It's that simple. People do not know what this is. They do not. And I've been shunned by all my friends, my family. They think I'm nuts. They don't think that this happens. They do not think this happens, and it does. And thank you for bringing awareness to this. Thank you so much.
Our platform, like I said, is about that beast mindset, and you definitely got that beast mindset with everything that you're going through. Like I said, my hat's off to you. If we can be a resource for helping you, let us know. But to close this out, I know this has to be heart-wrenching for you to even come and share this, because your son needs to understand that you're doing a mother's love. And you're doing it by any means necessary to let people know that, hey, this needs to be brought to somebody's attention. You love your son. You never wanted to take him away from his father, but, you want to be a part of his life. What would you tell somebody that doesn't understand what you're going through? What would you tell a viewer?
I would tell a viewer that I'm just a normal, hardworking person. I was non-judgmental against my ex, but when he had the opportunity, he kicked me, and he kept kicking me while I was down. He's a mean person. He's a narcissist. They don't function on the same level as us. My child means everything to me. I don't even get to know my child. I wake up every morning with the reality that I don't have a child. It's like my child is gone. My child's dead, but he's not. And that makes it really tough, when your child's just minutes away from you, but you are cut out of everything. People think this is a bad divorce. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. It's not. It's a narcissist who is angry at the other parent, and they do what it takes to make them pay. And it's horrible.
I'm really sorry that this is happening to you. How can the viewers reach out to you to support your cause? And I don't mean bad mouthing. I mean to really support your cause. And this isn't a fight for revenge. This is a woman's journey to try to reunite with her son. Forget everything else, but look at it for what it is. A mother who's trying to reunite with her son. How can the viewers continue to support you and follow you on social media?
So I have a TikTok account, and it's Stealing Zachary. He's a baseball player. It's kind of play on words. See, Stealing, StealingZachary. And then I have a Gmail account. It's stealingzachary@gmail.com. That's it. It's real simple. I'm new to all this, but yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out to share such a beautiful story. We'd love to have you come back, give us an update on you and your son. And I know there's going to be a reuniting ceremony with you two. Just have to be patient, believe in the powers that be. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show.